Assalamu alaikum. At the outset, I would just like to thank Department of Arabic, University of Mumbai and Istanbul Foundation of Science and Culture for providing the Indian viewers, readers and listeners an opportunity to have to know the educational contribution as well as the overall contribution of Sayyid Nursi. For Indians, it is not very popular or known figure, but this seminar has provided us this opportunity. Last year, this seminar was arranged, and that was the first time many of us came to know about Sayyid Nursi. And that time we had to rely on internet as we were not having the books on Sayyid Nursi. But for this seminar, most of us are very comfortable, as last year the Istanbul Foundation had given many books to us. So I again thank Istanbul Foundation for that. I have prepared the paper on educational contribution of Sayyid Nursi, the Turkish reformer, as presented in Risale-i Nur, a collection of commentary on the Quran. The focal point of this paper is the educational contribution of great educational, social and spiritual reformer Badiüzzama Sayyid Nursi, who was an Islamic scholar, leader and founder of a religious movement in Turkey. He played a vital role in the revival of Islam in Turkey. He was the founder of Nur movement, which sought and seeks to foster Islamic sensibilities through a system of education based on NURSI'S ideas. His ideas on educational reform combine religious sciences and modern sciences in the belief that the positive sciences would strengthen the truths of religion. In our Indian context, we know the importance of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, a great reformer in British era in India, who advocated modern education which includes science. He was opposed by people at its initial stage, but we see its sweet fruits in later period. To some extent, in a similar manner, Nursi proposed the educational system and opposed the educational system of his time and advocated modern education based on science. Before knowing his educational thoughts, let us throw some light on his life. He was born in Nurs, a Kurdish village in the Bitlis Vilayet of the Ottoman Empire in eastern Anatolia, Turkey in 1876. He received his early education from scholars of his hometown. I have just highlighted the various areas from where he has got education, which has influenced his thoughts, where he showed mastery in theological debates. After developing a reputation for Islamic knowledge, he was nicknamed as Badiüzzama, meaning the most unique and superior person of the time. Nursi completed a traditional madrasa education at the early age of 14 and then studied physical sciences, mathematics and philosophy. When he saw the educational system of his time, he was very dissatisfied. He declared that I shall prove and demonstrate to the world that the Quran is an undying, inexhaustible sun. During his long life, he saw the last days of Ottoman Empire, its collapse after the First World War, and the emergence of modern Turkish Republic. He also witnessed the 25 years of Republican People's Party's harsh and authoritarian rule. This harsh and authoritarian rule made him bring some reforms in educational system, and 10 years of democratic rule, during which conditions became a little easier for Nursi. Now let us see what is Risale-i Nur. The Risale-i Nur is a collection of 6,000 page commentary on the Quran written by Sayyid Nursi. He concentrated in the Risale-i Nur on proving the truths of faith in conformity with modern science through rational proofs and evidences, and by describing the miraculous aspects of the Quran. In our Indian context, if we see, the IRF, Indian Islamic Research Foundation, is doing to some extent the same thing. They are trying to compare science and religion. So here he has initiated this work at his time. Although Sayyid Nursi faced unbearable persecution, imprisonment and exile, while no effort was spared to put an end to his service to faith, he was able to complete his writings comprising the Risale-i Nur. The importance of Risale-i Nur cannot be overestimated for thought. Sayyid Nursi played a major role in preserving and revitalizing the Islamic faith in Turkey in the very darkest days of the history. Risale-i Nur explains the most profound matters of belief which formerly only advanced scholars studied in detail, in such a way that everyone, even those to whom the subject is new, may understand and gain something without it causing any difficulties or harm. The purpose of man and the universe was discussed in his Risale-i Nur. Nursi developed a plan of university education for the eastern province of Ottoman Empire by combining scientific and religious education. The university was expected to advance the philosophical thoughts. He was active during the late Ottoman Caliphate as an educational reformer and advocate of the unity of peoples of the Caliphate. He proposed educational reforms to the Ottoman Sultan Abdul Hamid, aiming to put the traditional madrasa training, Sufism, and the modern sciences in dialogue with each other. Earlier, religion and science were considered as two separate parts. He tried to combine them. The Risale-i Nur shows that there is no contradiction or conflict between religion and science. Nursi's dream of an Islamic university known as Madrasatus Zihra. From an early age, Nursi displayed an instinctive dissatisfaction with the existing education system, which in his older age he formulated into comprehensive proposal for its reform. The heart of these proposals was the bringing together the traditional religious sciences and the modern sciences. In the course of the second decade of his life, he became extremely convinced that the Turkish madrasa education was inadequate, and his own interest in natural sciences led him to construct a new curriculum for the Islamic educational system. He prepared a blueprint for the establishment of the university, Madrasatus Zihra, in the eastern provinces, where he planned the positive and religious sciences to be studied together to raise scholars and scientists for the need of the age. In the 19th and 20th centuries, Europe had gained dominance over the Islamic world, and in efforts to extend its dominance, Europe was attacking the Quran and Islam in the name of science and progress in particular, falsely claiming them to be incompatible. According to Nursi, the best solution to combat the plot to destroy Islam was to educate Muslims so that they surpass the West both intellectually and scientifically. The Islamic University was to serve three goals: eradicate the conflict between so-called scientific thought and religion by teaching Islamic and positive sciences together, finish the conflict between the regular school, that is Maktab, and theology school, that is Madrasa, and the Dervish Lodge, that is Takka, attract students from the entire Islamic world to promote the unity and solidarity between Muslims. And that is the topic for today's seminar, that is regarding peace and harmony. The main purpose of his project, Madrasatul Zohra, was also to reconciliation of religious sciences and secular knowledge. He states it clearly: the people of madrasa, that is religious schools, accuse the people of modern schools of weakness of belief due to their outward appearance. The people of modern schools regard the people of religious schools as insufficient and ignorant because they do not know about the new branches of science. The differences in the views and methods unsettled the Islamic ethics and prevented people from contemporary civilization. The only solution to this is to teach religious sciences properly in modern schools, to teach new branches of exact sciences instead of ancient Greek philosophy, which is unnecessary now in religious schools, and to have very competent scholars in dervish lodges. When they are realized, those three branches will develop in harmony and reach high ranks. NURSI spent almost 8 months in Ankara, during which he realized that the new Turkish military elite was attempting to establish a secular republic in which Islam was to be shunned. He was offered various posts in this new setup, but he declined to be part of an establishment founded on materialistic and secular philosophy. He left Ankara and for Van, where he sought solace in spiritual practices and isolation, and there he tried his educational thoughts were changed. In 1925, he was arrested on charges of taking part in a rebellion in eastern provinces, although he had taken no part in it. He was sent into exile in western Anatolia along with hundreds of other Turks. Thus began a 25 years period of oppression, imprisonment and privation. It was during this time in the remote village of Barla in the mountains of Sparta province, where NURSI had been sent, the NURSI resumed his work to Risale-i Nur. Means his imprisonment provided him opportunity to write his Risale-i Nur. His concept of education was based on Quranic knowledge. Just skip some. NURSI had considerable knowledge of modern sciences and he attempted to integrate it within a theistic perspective. For him, the Quran and modern physical sciences had no dissonance, rather relating the truth of the Quran to modern men and women, and was even easier. As a religious scholar, well grounded in traditional Islamic sciences, NURSI was aware of the apparent discrepancy between traditional cosmology articulated by Muslim philosophers and Sufis and the Newtonian worldview, but instead of rejecting the mechanistic view of the universe presented by Newtonian science, he tried to appropriate it by appealing to the classical arguments from design. If you have just come to know that during that period, many superstitions were there. So he tried to eradicate them also. According to NURSI, he tried to integrate knowledge and faith. In evaluating NURSI's views on education, it may be noted that he has linked Ilm, that is knowledge, and Iman, that is faith. The term Ilm and Iman had been examined individually, but the deep-seated interlink between them had rarely before been explored. In this regard, NURSI's concept of knowledge based on belief in God and education produced from belief in God is very much worth of consideration. The integration of religious and modern sciences were his tools used by NURSI to revitalize the Muslim culture and tradition. Here also the faith and religious values of students were main concerns of NURSI. One of his most important views related to education is the approach of uniting religion and sciences. He says, we should mold the science brought from Europe and America, which in fact belongs to Islam, with the light of oneness, and view it from the point of view of the contemplation and significant meaning mentioned by the Quran. That is on behalf of its maker and master. NURSIan model for educational reform in present time. The Western style of knowledge and education fused into the Muslim world during the emergence of Western colonialization, which resulted in a clash of morals and values in the Muslim world. We can say that Western education, with its absence of harmony between the modern sciences and religious values, has actually been harmful to the Muslim world and has created the challenges and dilemma in the Islamic educational system. This process of westernization of education caused to lose the faith-based learning and religious value-based instruction. Therefore, NURSI'S view of education based on faith has to be considered as relevant in this manner. Integration of religious and modern sciences is the way of resurgence of Islamic culture and civilization. According to Sayyid Nursi, the religious sciences are the light of the conscience, the modern sciences are the light of the mind. Only on combining the two does the truth emerge. The student's aspiration will take flight with those two wings. When they are parted, it gives rise to bigotry in the one, and skepticism and trickery in the other. Okay, I will just conclude on his thoughts, saying his quotation is, minds should be enlightened with science and hearts need to be illuminated with religion. The topic of the seminar is about peace. His thought regarding the peace says that don't hate men, hate hatred. So with this message we should take from this seminar. Thank you.